Hey, what's up, everyone? Want to say thank you for stopping by our channel. When you get a chance, if you can, just go ahead and hit the little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Give us a like on the video. If you like what you're watching, what you're learning, share it with others so we could grow our channel. Today, what I wanted to talk about is, are you a statistic or are you an example? And I think it's so important to really look at that topic, because most of the times when we're hit with certain challenges in our life, certain obstacles, certain things go wrong, there's a lot of people that turn into statistics. The statistics say that when you have a devastating loss, a challenge in your life, a financial loss, a divorce, somebody passes away tragically, something goes wrong, most of the time the statistics say that you're supposed to lose, that you're supposed to have more challenges, more problems. The odds of you coming back from those obstacles and challenges are very slim. And most of the time, the statistics are right? The statistics do prove correct that most people do not bounce back from challenges and obstacles. And most of the time, it has to do with the people's decisions they make. It's how they react to that challenge, and how they react to that obstacle. It's the decisions they make after the obstacles. And most people do live by the statistics. And that's a challenge, because if you allow yourself to be a statistic, that makes you no different than everybody else. Now, an example is completely different. An example is somebody that says, okay, this challenge happened to me. It really tested me. It tested my family. It tested everything we believed, our faith, our relationship, our love for our children. I mean, it tested our anything in general that tests you, right? That really puts you in a perspective where you really get hurt and it brings you down to your knees. That is the chance for you to be not in a statistic, but to be an example of a person that shows they still continue to move forward regardless of the challenge. They still figure out a way to be positive. They still figure out a way to have the right mentality. They still figure out a way to be able to have that forward progress. And that puts you now in the area of being an example. And an example is something willing to be followed by. Statistics, nobody wants to follow a statistic. There's millions of statistics out there of people that they have losses in their life, challenges, and they end up just giving up. They fold. They give up. And a lot of people aren't going to tell you that, but they give up internally. They give up on their goals and dreams. They give up on aspirations because things happen, and they'll always use it as a reason why they're not going to have or experience forward progress. Then the examples say, well, look, I'm going to be an example of, because this happened to me, now I'm going to react this way. Because of this challenge, I'm going to make these decisions. Because of this obstacle, I'll be thinking and processing totally different today than I used to before. And that requires a brand new world of thinking, a brand new world of a mindset. You cannot expect to be an example for others if your thinking is the same when you started the problem that you had. Whatever the challenge was, it could, and listen, that problem could have been your fault, or it could have been not your fault. At the end of the day, none of that matters. What matters is, once the obstacle happens, once the challenge happens, what's the steps you take after that? And for you to be able to be the example, different thinking needs to exist. Different thought process, different ideas, different emotions, different perspectives, right? You have to look at things completely different than you looked at them before, because if you look at them the same way you were before you had the problem, you're never going to become the example. You're always going to be the statistic. You really have to challenge your belief system, so that way now the example is, let me show you what I did. Let me show you what I worked on. Let me show you what I focused on. Let me show you how much effort I put. Let me show you the things we worked on. Let me show you how intentional I was every single day about every single thing I did. And what happens is, now you're the example that others want to follow. It's the purpose of me having this channel is, I want people that are watching this, that are having some challenges and obstacles, they can always go back to this as a source of just them being able to see, okay, how can I realign myself? How can I adjust myself? How can I have forward progress? So that way you can become an example for others to follow. An example that people look at and say, this person really is moving in the right direction, and not the statistic that the majority of people are, that they give up on their goals and dreams. They stop going after the things that they wanted to do in their lives because of a challenge or an obstacle. And no matter how devastating it can be, all storms pass. That's one thing my dad always used to teach me. He always used to say, all storms pass. And there couldn't be nothing more true to this day today. all storms pass. You've heard the phrase, and it's very cliche, right? It says tough times don't last, but strong people do. It's very cliche, but it's very true at the same time, right? If you're a tough individual and you really want to be an example, you'll figure out a way to overcome the obstacle that you're currently dealing with. If you're going to be a statistic, you'll figure out a way to be the statistic. You'll figure out a way to always live in your misery, to live in your world, which is all me. Why my problems? Why my challenges? Why it's only me experiencing this? Why I'm the only one that has to go through this? That is the statistic victim mindset. And then the one that's the example says, sure, there's going to be times that you have that mentality of the statistic, but more often than not, you have the mentality of, well, what if I figure this out? What if I actually do what I need to do and I come out winning on the other side? What could that do for me in my life and for the people around me and the other people that I can inspire, especially with like YouTube and social media? Man, there's so many people out there changing lives with their message of things they overcame because they became the example and they weren't the statistic. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you can, hit that little button at the bottom of the screen, hit the subscribe, give us a like, give us a comment, share it with your friends. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.